Today, man, we are going to be going over the top 10 best playbooks in college football 25 for running the football. Now, there's a lot of playbooks in these games. In this game, there's like 130 some playbooks, and also if you count the alternate playbooks. Now, speaking on the alternate playbooks real quick, I only included one alternate playbook just because with the alternate playbooks, you can't use them in online regs. Ultimate Team, it's kind of hard to get them if you didn't already have them. Like when you did the challenges and stuff. So really the only kind of way to use them is like Dynasty or stuff like that. So I only put in one alternate playbook just because it's kind of weird, and some game modes you kind of can't use them. All these playbooks that we're about to talk about, man, I've used majority of them, and then the ones that I have not did use, I did a lot of research on them, went and looked at all the formations, plays that are in the formations, and what I really liked about them that I thought would make them really good for this list. I run the ball a lot, so like I said, I know a thing or two about running the football. Another really key thing in these playbooks too was not only are you able to run the ball out of these, but at some point you do have to pass the ball a little bit. So there's got to be some type of pass aspect of these playbooks too. Not where it's like too crazy. That's why it's not the top 10 like overall playbooks. It's just the top 10 running ones in my opinion. But I also wanted to make sure these playbooks had some type of formations or plays where you would be able to pass the ball out of it a little bit, because at some point you're gonna have to do that. Now, this list is in no particular order. It's just 10. It's a top 10, but it's just the 10 that I like the best out of all the other playbooks in the game. So let's go ahead and get right into this list. Starting us off with number 10, we got the Michigan playbook. I think off the rip, everybody kind of like at some point when you're trying to run the football, you're looking at playbooks. This is probably one of the first playbooks that comes to mind, and as it rightfully should. There is so much in this playbook. You got a lot of different things to choose from I-form, and all these are really good. Now, some of these formations in I-form, they're very similar. Like some of them, it's just a receiver flipped on the other side, but you got sets with two receivers. You got sets with a whole bunch of tight ends. I've ran a Michigan playbook, by the way. It's extremely good for running the football. It's surprisingly also not bad passing the ball out of it. But you got a lot of really good stuff at I-form, strong. In this game, under center runs are the best runs. So any playbook that's got a decent amount of really good under center formations and run plays and stuff are going to be really high on my list for like considering that a really good playbook to run the ball out of. And also, it's got a ton of, it doesn't have a crazy amount of single back, but the stuff that you can run out of individually of all this single back is really good. And then you go over to their gun, they got a lot of jumbo packages with 3 tight ends and all that stuff, speed options, all kinds of good stuff. And then surprisingly, you can actually throw the ball pretty good at this playbook because you got bunch strong, which is really good. It's got a really solid spread, and it's got empty. So a really good playbook. Some of my favorite run plays I'll kind of just glance over really fast. Out of I-form, if we go over to wing right here, it's a 1 receiver set. You got the fullback, you got 3 tight ends, or however, I think it's like 2 tight ends or whatever. It's a jumbo set. The stretch out of this is really, really good. I like that a lot. If we go over to single back, we'll go over to wing pair. The halfback stretch is another really good play. Under center runs are just really, really good. It's got pistol as well. I don't really run it a whole lot, but it's got some good stuff in there. Wing slot over the halfback stretch out of that is really good. You go over to gun, wing tight C. There is a speed option to the far right there. You can't see it, but a speed option, that really good play. And then pretty much all the runs out of that are also really good. So really good run plays in this playbook. Number 9 is going to be the Charlotte playbook. This is my favorite playbook in the whole game. I've ran this for a majority of the year. It's so good for running the ball out of, and it's also really solid passing the ball out of. You got your single back stuff out of it, which is really similar to kind of the stuff you got out of Michigan. I like those a whole lot. It's got some stuff out of pistol, the stuff that I don't really run a whole lot, but there's some really good stuff in there. Deuce close, wing, 2 really good ones in my opinion. And then you go over to gun. You got your big packages just like you did in Michigan. The ace offset, deuce close, pretty much runs all the way to you off trips, or just jumbo packages with multiple tight ends, RPOs, a lot of good stuff to run the ball out of. And then you can pass the ball out of this playbook. You got trips tight end, which is arguably one of the best formations in the game, and it's got so much good stuff to run the ball pass the ball out of. Tight doubles is really good. Those condensed sets, a lot of really good route combos out of that. Those are probably my go-to formations throwing the ball out to. If you're going to throw the ball out of this, I'd probably go with tight doubles and trips tight end. And if you want to throw it at the jumbo packages, ace offset is always such a great option. Some of my favorite runs that I want to talk about in this playbook, just really fast going over them. Going over to single back wing tight Z. The stretch out of this is really, really good. I love that a whole lot. And even going over to the other single back ones, wing and wing slot over, they got some, they got an RPO stretch, halfback stretch alert smoke. That's a really good one. And there's also a stretch out of this as well. It's actually called wide zone. It's really good. And wing slot over, there's an RPO out of this duo alert bubble, really good one. And there's also a stretch out of this as well. I think it's called like slant, halfback slant 18, really good place to run under center. And then out of the gun, ace offset, the read option play is really good. Always been one of my favorites. The trap play out of deuce close is amazing. Out of gun wing, speed options are always so good. And then a lot of these other formations, similar stuff. There's some RPOs you guys might really like. Out of you off trips, it's got a really nice one, RPO alert bubble to the far right there. But this one right here is my favorite, I'd probably say, out of all these. Number 8, Kansas State. This playbook is like a mixture of, if you combined Michigan and Charlotte into one playbook. That's the best way I would probably describe this playbook. I ran this playbook for a very little bit in the beginning of the year, didn't run it a whole lot. I might give it another go after looking at it again, because man, I forgot how really good this playbook is. And I say it's very similar to Michigan because you got the strong eye, which Michigan has something similar to that. It's got eye form, pretty much all the same eye forms that Michigan had. The pistol though, it's got a lot. This is the most unique pistol we've seen so far. It's got a lot. You got strong, which is, you know, kind of like a split close in a way. I call it a split close, 2 backfield set. Out of pistol, there's always really good runs out of that. It's got the deuce, the wing slot, a lot of jumbo tight end sets out of pistol. Those are always really good. And then I say it's very similar to Charlotte, is because the shotgun, you got the ace slot, wing slot, you got all these 2 tight end packages out of the gun that are all really good and are kind of similar to Charlotte. So it's kind of like a mix between both of them. It's a really good running playbook. The only thing I think I'm not the biggest, and actually I almost forgot to, it also has it has one split close type of set. F twins override split close is where, you know, I always call it split close. I should just say 2 backfield set where there's 2 backs in the backfield. But my only downside, I think, to this playbook is I'm not the biggest fan of the passing formations out of it. Tight open, in my opinion, is probably the best one, which is really good. Some really good run plays we'll talk about really quick. Any stretch out of any of these I forms, preferably I would go with an I form where there's probably just 1 receiver on the field, because that means you get an extra tight end on the line, and those ones are just really good. So honestly, any stretch out of I form is really good. Looking at their pistol though, they got some really good stuff. As you can see right here in this pistol strong, halfback stretch out of this is they're always so good, because you got a tight end lined up on the line, and then you got a running back, fullback, whoever you got in the backfield with the running back lead blocking, and they're just always so good. Staying in the pistol, we'll go over to deuce close. The stretch out of deuce close, any pistol deuce close with a stretch is usually a really good run play. Going over to wing slide, there's a bunch of jet sweeps you can run. They're not technically run plays, they are pass plays, but in my eyes I consider them as runs. So jet sweeps are always really good. Going down to this play all the way to the right here, lead option, I call it a speed option, because, you know, the quarterback moves out with it and then he has the option to kind of pitch it out to the running back. Really good out of this one, because the side you're running into has all the tight ends right there, so it's a really good one. There's also a stretch out of this formation as well. I like that a whole lot. Heading over to the gun formations, the first one we're going to see is ace, not ace offset, but just straight up ace. Something I really, this is one of my favorite plays when I ran this playbook. It's the quarterback zone out of it. Don't run the quarterback blast. That's the one all the way to the right, all the way to the left. The QB zone, I find that one always ran a little bit better. Such a really good play, especially if you got a stronger quarterback, a somewhat mobile quarterback. That run is it's really good. There's also a speed option out of wing slot over, really good. You know, got the 2 tight ends on the right. Also quarterback powers to the right. It's actually not a bad play either. This playbook definitely has a lot more quarterback designed runs than a lot of the ones we looked at. We're going to look at one that's going to have a whole lot coming up. You probably know which one that is, but this is a really fun playbook to run. I definitely recommend it. Number 7, Liberty. You know Liberty had to be on here. This is one of the most unique playbooks in the game. This playbook is for people that like to run a triple option type of football. Gotta have a mobile quarterback to run this offense. It's basically option football central. That is what this playbook is. There's a lot of split sets out of gun. That's kind of where the offense is at heart. And then going to pistol, it's the same thing. You got a lot of 2 back sets with multiple backs in the backfield. There pretty much is no under center in this playbook. This is a playbook where if you're running this, you're running it for the triple option and all that. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing, because a lot of it, the formations are very similar, but this one, just take a look at it for yourself. And almost every single one of these formations where there's some type of 2 backs in the backfield, there's nasty triple options, speed options, plays with the running backs are going to check out to the flat, and it's quick RPO throws and all that stuff. That's pretty much how almost all these formations are. I'm not going to go in depth of it. Only downside of it, it's probably one of the weaker playbooks on this list when it comes to throwing the ball out of. The best thing might be probably spread. There's trips offset, but I would probably say spread maybe, but that's the only downside of this playbook. Not very good throwing the ball out of. Number 6, Kansas. Not Kansas State, just straight up Kansas. This is the only playbook I've ran this one. Haven't really run it a lot compared to all the ones that we've talked about so far. I've ran those pretty decent amount. This one haven't ran it a lot, but I've ran it a little bit. It's another one where there's not really too much under center. It's a lot of pistol and gun, so it does have a lot of shades of Liberty, especially when you look at their pistol. It's got a lot of 2-back sets, but it's also got some jumbo sets too, with multiple tight ends to come out in the pistol. The gun side of it, the runs aren't too bad. It's pretty basic stuff. It's really nothing too crazy throwing the ball out of. I think the strong suit of this is it also does have Wildcat. I'm not a big Wildcat guy. Maybe you guys like Wildcat, so I can't speak on Wildcat a whole lot myself, but it does have some Wildcat in there. So if you like Wildcat, there's Wildcat. But the heart of running the ball out of this playbook is definitely in the pistol. Anything from the strong to the win close, or not win close, strong and strong slot, full house where you got multiple backs in the backfield, and then win close all the way up to ace slot. You got multiple tight ends out there, and there's always really good runs out of those. Passing the ball is not formation. I've added this playbook though. I think it's pretty average too. I do think it's better than Liberty throwing the ball out of it for sure. But it's a pretty balanced playbook. I can't tell you what my favorite stuff out of it is, honestly. I would say anything out of strong, the strong stretch, those are always really good. Triple option switch right there in the middle, I tell you right now, that's a really good play. Power option all the way to the left. It's similar to Liberty. You want any of these two formations with multiple backs in the backfield, just look at the triple options, look at their speed options, their stretches. Those are always the heart of them. Going over like an ace slot, anything where it's read options, good stuff like that. You want to stick to all the stuff, I would say, with multiple backs in the backfield, multiple tight ends on the field for running the ball. That's kind of most of the stuff I would look at when running the ball out of this. And then, of course, Wildcat. Number 5, we're going with a military school, Army. So a lot of the military schools playbooks are very similar. There is some minor differences in them. I went with Army out of all of them because I thought theirs was the best. Now, I have not, this is the first playbook on the list so far I've straight up not run, but we all know how Army works. It's all about that flex bone. It's a really weird offense, but it's one you're going to have to take time. You're going to have to go into practice. You're going to have to master it. Now, it does have some really good stuff out of pistol, which is, a little bit similar to the Liberty and the Kansas we talked about. That's a little bit more conventional. And even at the gun, it's got a lot of split close sets. As you can see, there is a whole lot. The biggest downside to Army is it's obviously, it's throwing the ball out of it. Army's not throwing the football, but this, I would say, is a combination of, I would say, Kansas and Liberty all kind of just thrown together, plus with Army with the flex bone. So it's probably the worst, I'm going to say probably the worst passing formation, or no, actually, not formation, playbook, probably the worst passing playbook on here, but Army, man, if you don't know what Flexbone is, by the way, I'll just show you real quick if you've never seen what Flexbone looks like. But this is Flexbone. This is Army football. It's a little weird, but it can definitely work. If you master it in practice, and I don't know how to use it, but I'm putting it on here because I know it's people do enjoy running Flexbone, which, you know what, maybe I'll try it. Let me know if you guys want me to just kind of master this playbook and give a breakdown of it. Number 4, Kennesaw State. Now, I will say, spoiler alert, the rest of the playbooks going forward on this list I have not actually used. So what I did was I went in, CFB Fans, actually a website where you can look at all the playbooks in the game. You can look at all their formations, all their plays, and all that stuff. And I went in there and I just researched until I found a playbooks that I thought, these look really good to run the ball out of, and this is something I would be interested in myself in using. So number 4, we got Kennesaw State, which, by the way, they're like a 60 overall offense in this game, which is really wild. I mean, I get it, they just joined the FBS, but that is crazy. One thing I will say real quick before we talk about the run plays in this playbook is it actually has trips tight end, which is, we all know, is a really good passing formation, and they actually have that, so that's pretty good. I would say that should be your go-to passing formation. But as for running the ball, another one where you're not really going under center at all in this. It's a lot of pistol, and this is the most pistol we've seen. There is a lot to run out of pistol in this playbook. This is a heavy pistol playbook. When you're looking to run the ball, you're going to pistol. You got a lot of split backfield stuff, a lot of split backfield formations. There is a whole lot. It goes all the way from train all the way to weak wide off. All that stuff is two backs in the backfield, and then all these wings. These are 2 tight end sets that runs all the way to U off trips, and they're all really good. RPOs, speed options, all that stuff. There is so much stuff in there. Now, as for the normal stuff, when you look at like a doubles and these wide trips, there's still honestly really solid runs in there. Like you can see in the doubles, you have jet sweeps. Jet sweeps are so good. I love jet sweeps, especially in the red zone. There's read options, there's powers, there's stretches. There's still a bunch of stuff to be ran out of here. Speed options, there's RPO. So the pistol is definitely where you want to be at in this playbook when you're running the ball. And like I said, when you're passing it, it's got some stuff. You got doubles, halfback, weak side, and trips, tight end, offset, which are actually 2 really good passing formations. Like that's probably all the 2 formations. That's probably all you're really gonna need to throw the ball at of. It does also have wing, which also has a speed option. By the way, speed option, I really like the one that's in Charlotte. So honestly, a really good playbook that I personally might actually I think I actually want to try this one next. Number 3, we got Iowa. So Iowa, I want to say this playbook probably has the most under center runs out of all the ones we looked at. I could be wrong, but there's a ton of single back in it. A lot of it is actually, I think all of it is either 3 tight end or 2 tight end sets. Look at the stretches in it. If there's jet sweeps, never go with the inside dive runs. Oh, you always want to go with ones that are what is the word? Not misdirection. Let me see if I can find one. Let's go to like a wing pair. Usually they have different names, but not the inside zone. There's ones they'll be like halfback duos are really good. If it's just like a smash or something like that. Never go with the straight up halfback dives. I always feel like I don't know what it is. I can't explain it to you, but for some reason the other ones are just always better. But there's a ton of really good stuff out of single back. It's also got I form. The I form is really good. We've already talked about I form throughout this. Power I, which is it's kind of goal line, honestly. I don't really know too much about it. I'm not going to speak on that, but the I form and single back is really good, and even the gun's really good. You got ace slot, which is a formation I love a whole lot of 2 tight end sets. U off trips, which is pretty much almost the same thing as ace slot. It's just a different name. And then surprisingly, it's got some really solid passing formations. Ace slot is actually a really good passing formation. It's a 2 tight end set. Some of the doubles out of it are really nice. Tight slots open is a really good passing formation, and empty bunch wide, which I think is one of the better gun empties in the game. So surprisingly, it's a solid playbook to pass the ball out of, and it's got a lot of under center runs. So if you're a big under center run guy, you might like this one a lot. Number 2, we're going to go with Michigan State. Michigan State has a little bit of everything. You got single back, I form, pistol, and gun. Now, I will say this, the pistol out of it's pretty weak, but the single back and the I form are really good out of it. It's got a lot of the stuff that we talked about that we like out of single back. 3 tight end sets. It's got a bunch of 2 tight end sets. It even has a 3 wide receiver set. So, maybe if you want to make a mini scheme out of that. It's got some pretty good stuff at I form as well. It doesn't have any of the jumbo I form pack. Actually, no, I lied. It does. It has an I form wing. I'm sorry. It does. But it's got all the basic I forms. Pistol, like I said, it's pretty weak out of it. It's also got strong eye. I'm not a big strong eye guy, but it does have the stretch out of strong eye is actually, it's pretty solid. It's not too bad. Even the dive is actually not that bad. And then out of gun, you got a couple jumbo tight end packages. We got Ace, which I think we talked about in the Kansas State playbook. It's got that QB zone play, which I like a lot. Wing slide, that's always a good one. Throwing the ball wise out of this, it is one of the weaker ones. I honestly, in my opinion, I would say this is one of the weakest ones probably to throw the ball out of, but I know some people like this wing trips weak side formation. I'm not that big on it, so I guess if you like that, you might like it a lot. The spread's not that half bad at it. The empty, it's all right. To me, it's one of the weakest ones, but a lot of people will probably disagree. Passing the ball wise out of this one. This one's just a really balanced playbook. It's got a lot, like I said, it's got a lot of different stuff between single back, I form, gun. There's a lot of different stuff. I feel like some of these have categorized in heavy under center, heavy pistol, or heavy gun, different things. This one's got a little bit of everything. This one's probably one of my if I had to actually rate these ones, this one would probably be 10 on my list out of all the ones, in my opinion. I think this was one of my least favorite ones, but we had to get 10, and it's still a solid one. This one right here is our very last playbook, and I'm still on the screen picking a playbook because you're not gonna know in game. You're gonna think it's Miami. This is the only alternate playbook I'm gonna have on here. It's gonna be the multiple playbook. Now the reason why I said I'm only putting one alternate playbook on here, because some of them are actually really good and I actually like them. And I probably would have put another one on here over Michigan State. That's because in some game modes you can't really use these playbooks. For example, if you're gonna play Road to the College Football Playoffs, which is the online regs game mode, you're not gonna be able to use these alternate playbooks because you have to use that playbook associated with the team. And then as for Ultimate Team, for example, let's say you did those challenges and you quick sold those playbooks or whatever, you can't get those playbooks back. At least from my knowledge, you can't. I could be wrong, maybe you can, but it's kind of hard to obtain those playbooks. So really, the only game mode like where you could seriously use these is probably in like a Dynasty or something like that. So that's why I'm only putting one on here. But this is a good playbook, and we're gonna check it out. The reason why I like this playbook is it just has something from everything. The single back is really good. You got two really good formations in deuce close and wing flex, which I like a lot, running the ball out of. The I form is really good. I form tight, that's always the one you really want to look for. The other ones are always solid too, but I form tight is always one of my favorite I forms. The pistol, you got some good stuff out of that too. The strong trips, the wing, all that stuff. And then as for gun, the wing stack weak side, this might be only one of the only playbooks we've looked at that actually has this one. And it's actually it's really good. There's some really good stuff at it. You can even throw the ball at it. And then throwing the ball out of this playbook, this is one of the better ones. You got trips tight end, you got bunch, and you got tight open. This is probably I'd probably say the best out of all the playbooks on here. This is the best passing one for sure. That is my list though for the top 10 best running playbooks in the game. These are not the top 10 best playbooks in the game, not by any means. Just for running the ball. One of the biggest things, obviously, there has to be a lot of different things I think that you're able to run the ball out of these. And then something I value a lot is being able to have some type of a pass game out of these. Some of them, there's not really a whole lot, but that's why, you know, the focus of these playbooks is running the ball though. Let me know down in the comments if you guys like this list. If there's a playbook that wasn't on here that you guys think that should be on here, you guys can comment that down below. If this video guys helped you guys out, you guys could drop a like. If you got any questions about anything, you can also comment that down below too. If you're not subbed to the channel, definitely sub to the channel. We got lots more College Football 25 content on the way. And if you guys got any other video ideas that you would like to see me upload, I could do that as well. So comment that down below. But that's pretty much all I got for this one, man. Till next time, man. I'll see y'all on the next one.